follow that. Bendigeid kids. Anybody feeling inspired? Because I definitely am after hearing that. My name's Lindsay. I'm the Chief Exec of a homelessness charity called the Wallich. And we've found ourselves in a situation where we are kind of having to deal with two emergencies. So we've been really focusing on the rough sleeping crisis in Wales. We have a temporary accommodation crisis in Wales right now. The picture is not pretty. There's over 9,000 people in temporary accommodation in Wales at the moment. This is a disaster. So while we've been focusing on that, climate change and things have kind of been sneaking up behind us. So the reasons we exist, there's three of them. We exist to get people off the streets, to keep people off the streets, and to create opportunities so that people don't go back. If you're looking for people to employ, we want to talk to you. Spot the deliberate mistake, there is a typo on this slide, sorry about that. But the way we're looking at it is if we don't take care of our planet, then nobody has anywhere to live. So it kind of goes beyond just dealing with the immediate homelessness crisis. Actually, there could be quite a serious global crisis if we don't look after what is ultimately our home. I used to live on the streets myself. I was rough sleeping in Middlesbrough when I was 16. And I don't know whether you know, but when you come out of homelessness and addictions and things like that, you've got to be twice as qualified as everybody else. You've got to work twice as hard as everybody else to be taken seriously as a professional. And I found myself in a situation where I managed to get a really good job, and I had to deliver a presentation in front of the mayor. It was about counter-terrorism, and I was very, very serious face. And I practiced. I over-prepared to death. I borrowed some smart clothes, and I borrowed this blouse that was a little bit too big for me. And not realising while I was doing my presentation to the mayor, trying to be really impressive, is I'd left my flies open. Yeah, I'd left my flies open, and not just that, but it kind of shoved its way out of a hole in my open flies. This blouse that was too big for me. Oh, what fresh hell is this? I didn't realise until I collected the feedback forms in at the end, and they basically said, cracking presentation, but your flies were open. Mortified. And this is kind of where we find ourselves as a charity, really, because we've been focusing so much on the emergency in front of us, that it has sneaked up that now we need to be thinking much more seriously about the impact that we're having on our planet. We went for a contract in Denbighshire recently. Now this is a homeless service that we've been running for years, and all of a sudden we weren't even qualified to apply unless we had a carbon reduction strategy. So we are in a situation where it's like, which crisis do we deal with first? We did manage to pull it off. When I say we, I mean Mike at the back managed to write one very quickly. But what we're trying to do is find sort of interim measures where we can show that we're serious about climate impact, just while we learn a little bit more, while we attract partners to help us with this. Because I'm really good at getting people off heroin. This is very new territory for me. So, the metaphorical skirt is tucked in our knickers, is my message. There's a lot to do in the charity sector to get back on top of this. We also have bees. We believe at the Wallich that people and nature can heal each other. And one of the things we do there is we use our beekeeping apiary as a way of treating substance misuse problems. I wrote my thesis about what it is about beekeeping that's therapeutic, and what we've found is that there's a lot of parallels between beekeeping skills and actual recovery skills and the things that you need to learn to keep off the streets. It's been a really interesting journey. So we've found well-being benefits of interaction with nature. One of the guys that we engaged quite early on, he'd been rough sleeping about 25 years, and I've been trying to engage him for ages, and every time he told me to F off. And one day he said, yes please, I'll come and try beekeeping. And because bees hate the smell of alcohol, he went dry. He went dry for a day because the bees meant more to him than he did. And he didn't want to upset them. And that was just a foot in the door. He's still out, but it was a foot in the door of engagement, and now he'll at least take a cup of coffee from us. For us, that's a big win. What I wanted to talk to you about as well is that recovery has got to be fun. And people like me, we do have a genetic predisposition to take risks. It's in our DNA, it's in our brains, and there's not a lot we can do about that. So that's how people end up taking drugs, that's how people end up taking risks in extreme sports and stuff like that. So the way we made this connection was we had a really, really grumpy queen, and she sort of sets the tone of the hive and the temperament of the hive. I named her after my mother. She was really angry. And what we found was that when we were taking the guys out of the hostels to go and engage with the bees, they all queued up because they wanted to play with the nasty one. They wanted to thrill out of it. They wanted to get a buzz out of it. It was funnier than that. So recovery skills, conservation skills. What we're seeing is that people project their own meanings onto their interaction with the bees. So we have a rule where if you spot an unmarked queen, if it's a virgin queen, you get to name her. And one of our guys named it after his ex-partner who sadly died. And he made a huge psychological leap forward because he kind of immortalised this woman in a queen bee. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, we have a queen K, but that's just one example of how people use metaphor and attach that onto the bees, and how they also use that to shape their identity as well. I'm not a homeless person, I'm a beekeeper. That's really, really powerful. So that's one of the ways that we're using innovations to help just capture the imagination and to inspire the people that we support. We are also very interested in how we inspire our staff. We've got 488 staff, I think, at the last count. And what we've done is created a partnership with Ecology, and we're invested in carbon reduction and carbon avoidance projects. So we signed up to like a subscription. Every member of staff gets 10 trees per month planted each, and we also get to invest in different projects across the world. And they tell me that there's a bigger carbon reduction impact if you do this in tropical climates rather than just in Wales. So we've got trees absolutely all over the place. So for each member of staff, there's 9 tonnes carbon reduction annually. So this is the website, this is our profile. You can see the web address at the top of the screen there. So this is our homepage when you land, when you visit it. And this is our team forest. So this is where all of our staff have their staff forest planted. And you can see that there's different icons there that represent different things. So one of them is about that we have distributed cleaner cook stoves in Kenya, which is quite nice, and our staff are really bought into this because a lot of these projects are part of ending global homelessness and reducing poverty, which is the ultimate cause of homelessness. We've got wind power projects in Thailand, which is quite nice. And what we did as an aside that our service users thought was a really good idea is we have planted a memorial forest as well. Sadly, we deal with a lot of overdoses, suicides, things like that. Some of the people we support don't make it. So this is a respectful way of paying tribute to those people, really. So this is our memorial forest. So it's kind of like a sub-profile from the main profile. And if you click on those, you can click on each of those like clumps of trees. You can see that we've got 25 trees for Josh. He got run over on his bike up in North Wales. In memory of Marcus, who is a member of staff. And we also had Bruno the dog, who was locked in a really, really hot temporary shelter in the dead of summer. That was horrible. So yeah, we use this to mark the people we've lost and to celebrate the people that we've lost. So our impact, the website tells me, is this. So we've saved 276 long-haul flights worth of carbon. 1,080 square metres of sea ice has been saved because of this, and 893,160 miles driven by a car has been saved from us investing in this. The problem I've got is that I can't use homeless people's money for this. I think it's a bit of a paradox. We're 100% behind what everyone's trying to do with all these new legislation and new drivers to save the planet. But I don't think if you're living under a bridge, you should pay for that. So what we're doing is making a call out to partners, people like Legal and General, Admiral Insurance, you, to see if you can get behind us and help us to fund this, because our achievements here ultimately become your achievements. There's a lot more that we need to do to do better. We have to think about the way we dispose of fabrics, never underestimate the power of a clean, dry pair of socks. We do have surplus food left over. We do need to look at our procurement policy and ethical pensions. I think our pension provider is probably one of the worst offenders for causing global homelessness. We need to sort that out. So I'm learning new things all the time. We have a stall out there. Mike and I are in our purple t-shirt, so if you can help, if you're a school, we want to talk to you. If you can give people jobs, we want to talk to you. If you're from a gigantic bank, we definitely want to talk to you. There's different ways that you can get involved in, that you can help. And if you leave your details on our desk, you can win some of our honey from our apiary as well. So there's that too, as a bit of a sweetener. You're getting better. Okay, so we need your help. Please get behind us, otherwise we're not going to be able to sustain this. I think it's a mistake sometimes that people think homeless people don't care about the environment. They absolutely do. You should see them on our allotment sites and getting involved, and it really does have a healing power for people that have been through enough already. Diolch yn fawr iawn.